Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a remarkable set of opportunities before us at this time. We can tackle serious global challenge posed by climate change and create a safe environment for future generations. We can bring needed electricity to all corners of the globe and continue economic improvement and advancement for millions of people in developing countries. And we can do it with advanced technologies that will support a vibrant science and technology sector in the United States and that will enhance the global leadership of this country and strengthen international security and stability. But these opportunities can't be realized if advanced reactors are a catalyst for the creation of new nuclear dangers. As nuclear infrastructure grows and moves into new regions, so do the amount of nuclear materials and facilities that need to be secured, potentially increasing opportunities for nuclear proliferation and terrorism. Therefore, there's an urgency in taking action to ensure that at the early stages of this new era, all advanced reactor designs minimize nuclear security and proliferation concerns, and that none will contribute to global nuclear insecurity. I was fascinated to hear the earlier panel today talk about the nascent nature of this industry and how far it's advanced over the course of the last year. So I feel like we're at a point where this discussion of nuclear security and nonproliferation is really ripe for delving into. There's a significant challenge in this because the advanced reactor landscape includes competing nations with differing views on the importance of effective nuclear governance, an international competition to capture market share, numerous reactor designs, reactor coolants that are very different, and fuel requirements that vary. To begin grappling with these challenges, I think that there are two essential steps that are required. An in-depth and sustained dialogue is needed between advanced reactor designers and nuclear security and safeguard professionals. This is necessary to deliver a product that will suit the needs of investors, governments, and the global public. There also needs to be a dialogue among the proponents of advanced reactors who see the real value inherent in this technology, and the expert community that is concerned about advanced reactors and whether those technologies are going to pose potentially new and significant security and proliferation dangers. There are international expert conversations held on this issue, these security and proliferation concerns, and they are very, very valuable. They have as their objective increasing the assurance that the next generation of reactors are going to be very unattractive for diversion to nuclear weapons, and that they will provide increased protection against acts of terrorism. The challenge, though, is that this work has been primarily technical, and that these results and new assessments which come and build upon them need to be placed in an easily accessible policy framework for international policymakers and for investors so that they can understand the choices that need to be made and the trade-offs that also need to be made. A very unique project of my organization, the Partnership for Global Security, and the Nuclear Energy Institute, is the Global Nexus initiative. It's specifically focused on the intersection of climate change, nuclear power, and global security. We want to develop, through this process, a new and inclusive stakeholder coalition. One of the things we did was examine the potential presented by advanced reactors, and we produced a report called the Framework for Advanced Reactor Deployment. We specifically focused on the issue of how do you move this toward deployment, not how do you study it ad infinitum. In this framework, there were three initial recommendations for how to create a high level of confidence that the next generation of nuclear reactors will enhance global security. First, that high levels of safety, safeguards, and security should be incorporated into the initial reactor designs, and that these features should be rigorously tested against realistic and challenging scenarios for the purpose of further strengthening them. Second, that the international community should oppose advanced reactor fuel cycles that are designed specifically for breeding surplus plutonium for use in future nuclear reactors, and that it should oppose the stockpiling of separated plutonium and the use of uranium fuel enrichments that exceed 20%. Third, in tandem with the development of next-generation reactor concepts, the international community should acknowledge and address the significant gaps that exist in the current nuclear security regime, and do that through international legal framework improvements. In my view, these three recommendations can serve as the baseline for the development of a more detailed policy framework of global principles for advanced reactor security and proliferation prevention. A vital part of getting the security and nonproliferation framework right is making sure that all of the key stakeholders are involved. This includes governments, regulators, national laboratories, international organizations, the nuclear industry and its professional organizations, and non-governmental experts. The Global Nexus project is part of a movement to ensure that there's effective and broad-based partnership directing the next phase of nuclear power. We do not want to continue an outdated battle over the relevance of nuclear power. Too often in the nuclear world, there are divisions between all of these stakeholders, or at least some of these stakeholders, that are artificial and remnants really of an era when nuclear power was considered to be controversial, not recognized as a part of the 21st century's solutions. And I think we've heard what that solution set is from some of the other speakers. But in my view, the challenge is not just climate change in the 21st century, but there's a struggle for geopolitical influence in a both highly interconnected and increasingly fragmented world. We need to ensure that all nations in the international system move towards security, stability, and prosperity. And nuclear power is an instrument of geopolitical influence. It impacts all of these global conditions, and these conditions are essential for progress. There needs to be a greater appreciation of the positive impact of U.S. aggressively participating in the global nuclear energy market. Cooperative relationships between suppliers and recipient nations can last for a century. That goes from reactor building through operation through decommissioning, and it has a wide impact on a variety of vital foreign policy economic objectives. Traditional nuclear suppliers, including the United States, France, and Japan, are losing ground in new nuclear builds to China and Russia and South Korea. They are aggressively marketing their nuclear technologies. China is poised to become the grand central station of nuclear commerce. They are projected to take over from the United States as the world's top nuclear power generating nation by 2026. That will make them the largest operator and market for nuclear technology. Its government is investing heavily in its nuclear industry with an aim to make it the world's dominant supplier, and I think we just heard a lot of that from Jay. The evolution of nuclear suppliers can undermine the influence of the nations that historically have been at the forefront of building and improving the nuclear governance system. The emerging suppliers do not have a deep record of initiating improvements in the global nuclear governance system. In the heat of clawing away at market share, there's the potential to cut corners and proceed with risky sales. Influence over the rules of the road for nuclear nonproliferation and nuclear security are going to be exercised by those with the largest market share. Therefore, a race to the bottom must be avoided. The nuclear governance system is in need of strengthening, but it is at risk of being eroded. Robust support for the accelerated deployment of advanced reactors by the United States offers one important lever to begin the reversal of this powerful trend. It is essential, particularly at this critical juncture, that we get this right. There's a lot riding on this. There's a solution to the climate crisis, the productive use of billions of dollars in private and public investment, and the economic and geopolitical value that the effective safety, security, and proliferation prevention of the next generation of advanced reactors can provide. Thank you.